Hi everyone and welcome to my June book haul and TBR pile for 2014. I'm really excited to do this because I haven't actually done a book haul since around March, and also I haven't really been reading much recently either because of my exams, but now everything's changing. This month I'm going to get back into reading. I'm so excited to get back into that bookish mood, which I absolutely love. I am very excited to read for hours on end every single day, and I am just excited. I can't wait for this month. It's going to be a great bookish month. I'm planning to read so many good books and I'm just hoping that they're all going to be amazing. In this book haul, I'm only going to be showing 4 books because these are the books I've bought this month, the ones that I definitely want to read in this month. However, I may add other books to my TBR pile later in the month. It really just depends how quickly I get through these, how long it takes me to read each one. I don't want to say I'm definitely going to read more than this right now because that would just be pressurising myself, and I don't want to do that when I'm reading. Just like to take it steady, go at my own pace, and just really enjoy the books and devour them. So now let's get on and talk about the books that I bought this month and the ones that I'm going to be reading. So the first one is not actually part of the monthly theme this month, but it's one that I'm very excited about nevertheless, and it is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. This is of course a very bookish book, and I love books about books and books about bookstores. It's just going to be so fun to read. The idea of a 24-hour bookstore sounds incredibly epic and unique, and it just sounds like a place where booktubers could live. It sounds like bookish heaven. We could film videos there, we could film book hauls there and just buy loads of books. However, maybe not actually, because this is quite a mysterious bookstore. It's very, very different. The main character is called Clay, and he becomes more and more curious about what this bookstore is and what happens at this bookstore. The people that visit don't actually buy books, they just borrow books, and very obscure books actually, from very high up shelves. And everything there is very mysterious. Mr. Penumbra is a very mysterious man as well. It just sounds like a very crazy bookstore, but an amazing one nevertheless. And of course, I always love books about books, and I can't deny that they are so epic, and I think it's going to be a great one to start the month off with to get me back in the reading mood. It's going to be a fun, quick read. I think there's going to be humour in here, and I'm just so excited for it. I am very excited, and I can't wait to read it. I have very high expectations, so let's hope that they're met. So as with all of my book hauls this year, I'm choosing a monthly theme, and the theme for June is classics. This is quite a challenging theme actually. In the past I've had mixed experiences with classics, so I was thinking, well, I have a lot of time this month, so maybe if I have more time it's going to be easier to read them. I won't have to rush through them or anything, and I'll be able to devour all of them and just really understand them. I actually think though in the past my problem has been not understanding everything of classics, and I think that's really hindered my enjoyment. Maybe I've not understood the language or the context or the plot and what's going on, and I think sometimes I get a little bit abandoned, I guess, in classics, and I don't always enjoy them as much because of this. However, from studying English literature in school, I've actually managed to understand how to read classics more. I've become to appreciate classics a lot more, and I think for me it's very important to have resources and things that you can sort of refer to when you're reading classics, just so you understand them more. When I'm studying the novels in English literature, I tend to use a lot of study guides, and one of them that I use is called York Notes, and I think it's absolutely amazing. Basically it sums up each chapter and what happens. It goes through a lot of language, and it goes through all the different quotations in the book and what's happening, goes through all the context as well, and it's so useful. I know I'm not actually studying these books right now, so it's probably kind of weird that I'm buying study guides, but I thought I would buy these study guides to help me, just to give me a little bit of support, to really put me in the right direction, I guess, when I'm reading these, so I understand them more. I hope none of you think it's cheating, because I don't think it is. I think, you know, getting support and so that I enjoy the books is definitely a good thing. 2 of the classics that I got are actually Penguin English Library editions, and there are a lot of these, and with the books I got a little handout thing which goes through all of the different ones, and I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to show it in the video, but basically there are like 100 different covers, and they're really colourful and cool, and I just love the design, so I'm hoping to collect some of them at some point. I know a lot of booktubers do like these editions because they're so beautiful, they're simple but effective. I really like them, so I thought I would get them. So the first classic and the first Penguin English Library edition that I'm going to be reading this month is Wuthering by Emily Brontë. This is actually a gothic classic, very different to the kind of classics I would normally read. The kind of classics I've read before in the past have not been like this. This deals with a relationship between 2 different characters, and I know it has a lot of vivid and poetic language and description, which is going to be great to read about. I know it describes the setting a lot apparently, and I've heard that there's a lot of violent action as well, and that sounds quite fun to read about. I'm very excited for the chaoticness, is that a word? The chaoticness of this book. I think I'm actually studying this in English literature next year, so I think reading it now is going to help me to get a head start just to understand the plot and the characters and what's going on, because in the past I've always read books before studying them and it's definitely been a good thing. It's going to be exciting, dramatic, intriguing, exactly what I look for in a classic, and it's just going to be different and unique, so I'm very excited for this one. And if you're interested, the study guide for Wuthering Heights looks a bit like this, and I think I'm probably going to pay a little bit more attention to this study guide just because I'm actually studying this book next year. But you know, when I'm reading it this time, I'm not going to be going into great depth about the annotations and the quotations or anything, because I just want to enjoy it and just understand what's happening. The next classic is also a Penguin English Library edition, and this is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I absolutely love this cover. I love the human hearts on the front of it. I think they're awesome. I actually really love book covers and getting nice editions, and because all of these editions are quite similar, I think they're great to collect. Of course, I don't judge books by their covers, but if I can get nice editions, I don't refuse, because they're just amazing. I've heard that this book was actually written by the author when she was 18, or she started writing it when she was 18 anyway, and I think that's quite inspiring actually to a lot of younger writers. You know, if you're a young writer, don't give up, because you can succeed at a very young age, because this is very successful, so you can be successful too. The main character in this book is called Victor Frankenstein, and he goes around a lot of different graveyards collecting different parts in order to create a creature. I just think this idea of creation sounds absolutely amazing. It sounds very intriguing. I'm so excited to read it. Of course, it's another Gothic classic, but I think it's actually quite a different Gothic classic to what Wuthering Heights is. Wuthering Heights is about a relationship. This is more about creation and an individual character. So I think even though they are quite similar in the sense that they're Gothic, they're both going to be very different as well. So that's going to make great variation in my reading. And if you want to know what the study guide looks like for this, if you're interested, it looks like this, and yes, I will definitely be using it, and hopefully it'll point me in the right direction for this book. I am so excited for this book. I am incredibly excited. I'm always excited about book hauls. I always say the word excited about 50 billion gazillion million times in book hauls, but you know, who can't? Books are very exciting things. The final classic this month is unfortunately not a Penguin English Library edition, but it's still amazing nevertheless. It is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë. Basically on Amazon I buy books with £25 gift cards, and of course if I go over £25 I can't actually buy the books. I actually had to get one of them in used, and I had to get this edition because it was the cheapest, but I still like it anyway, and I know the content of the book is going to be fantastic. I know it's a very popular classic, and although I'm not an expert on classics, I think this is maybe the most popular out of all of the ones that I'm reading this month. It's the one I've heard the most about anyway. It's actually probably one of the longest classics that I've ever read, but I'm quite excited about that actually, because I think I'm going to be able to devour it and take my time with it and just really learn a lot about it. It's going to be very detailed and vivid and exciting. The main character is called Jane Eyre, as the title suggests, and apparently she goes against the Victorian social expectations or something. She has to battle against them or something, and she falls in love with a man called Mr. Rochester. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know quite a little bit about the Victorian history and the different things that happen in the era. I was actually studying Victorian poetry and English literature this year, so I understand the context and what, you know, the people had to go through, so I think it's going to help me to understand this book even more. The Victorian era is definitely something that I'm interested in. I think it's great to read about. The books about Victorian era are always great, so I am very excited for this book. Of course I am. I'm excited about every single book. And as I've been doing throughout the video, if you want to look at the study guide, the York Notes is here. It looks like this, and I'm sure it's going to be very useful. I can't wait to use it. I would definitely recommend, if you're studying English literature or just want support with books, you know, use York Notes. It's amazing. It's so amazing. It really explains everything in great depth, and it's just very helpful. So everyone, that is it for my June book haul and two bread pile for 2014. Of course, I'm very excited, as I've said millions of times already in this video. The books are going to be amazing. So my questions for you lot to answer in the comments today are, have you read any of these books and what did you think of them? Are you planning to read any of them? And then also, what is your experience with classics? Do you enjoy classics? What are your favourite classics? Do you sometimes find them harder to read than normal books? If you do find them harder to read, what methods do you use to try and overcome that difficulty? You know, do you think my method using study guides is quite good? Or, you know, what is your personal way of going about classics? And also, what are you planning to read in June as well? I'd be very excited to hear your June to be read piles, or if you make a video on it, please let me know as well. So thanks everyone for watching today's book haul, and I'm very excited to go ahead right now and read these books. So thank you so much for watching, and see you all again in my next video.